You're listening to Food Tech Talk, supply chain insights from farm to fork, a podcast discussing the latest trends and technology in the food and supplement industries, featuring conversations with regulatory experts, quality and safety champions, and thought leaders across the industry. I'm your host, Lydia Adams. Let's jump right in. Welcome to another episode of Food Tech Talk. I'm pleased to speak with Chris Latta, the Director of Business Development at Kwik Lok, about the growing demand for consumer-led traceability in food packaging. Chris Latta brings a wealth of experience in his role as the Director of Business Development over there at Kwik Lok, with over 15 years of experience in leading global sales, marketing, sustainability, and industrial design. Chris has a proven track record of success across diverse industries, including industrial and maritime IoT instrumentation and food service, as well as retail equipment. Chris is going to share insights on how Kwik Lok has partnered with TrustWell to address the needs for transparency and how this innovative collaboration is paving the way for the future of food safety and sustainability. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks for having me, Lydia. I look forward to having this conversation.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. So, to start us off, I like to ask our guests, tell us a little bit more about your journey in the field of food and food safety and kind of how you got to where you are today.
I think you really kind of hit it at the very beginning. I've had a real diverse background, but I actually started my career as a product designer developing refrigerated display equipment. And so I grew a really quick appreciation for what it is to have a safe environment for food. And over time, I layered on different types of industries as well as new technologies and a background in sustainability on top of that. And it led me to where I am today at Kwik Lok, where I'm kind of bringing in all those little aspects from my career. And really, at this point now, we're melding both food safe packaging and labeling with the technologies such as TrustWell is offering today.
No, that's great. And for those that are not familiar with Kwik Lok, maybe tell us a little bit about the company.
Absolutely. So Kwik Lok's been in business for about 70 years. We actually pioneered the first ever plastic bag closure. That has grown into a wonderful organization with numerous plants around the world, closing virtually almost every bag on the market today. One of the things that's really unique about Kwik Lok is not only do we actually make the clips themselves that close the bags, but we actually make the machines as well that go on the actual packing lines. So that way we're able to actually control what's getting put on there. We're delivering printing capabilities. So for the last decade or so, we've already started down this path of traceability, and Kwik Lok has been on the forefront, and we're really looking forward to seeing how this continues to grow.
That's a really exciting trajectory you guys have at Kwik Lok. So you did mention, a little bit about the company. Something that I really recognize just getting to know you guys over there at Kwik Lok is how you're bringing together this consumer demand for, traceability and transparency specifically for food using, your labels and bag closures. So thinking through that, what consumer trends are you really seeing that's driving this demand for transparency within the industry?
Yeah, I think it's an overall expansion of the ease of access to data. I think that's probably the number one trend that we're seeing. And this is across all different types of products around the world today. But food is just one of the more important that I feel specifically, just because when you think about the things that we're putting into our bodies, the food that we eat, knowing where it came from, what's in it, what it's being used for is really important. And now with the ability to have that information at your fingertips, like you've never had before, really opens up a whole nother level of information sharing, both with a client that you have at the packing level, all the way down to a customer as well. So it's really unlocking all the levels throughout the supply chain.
Yeah, and specifically, I think for food businesses today that are looking at trends and how things are moving, they're seeing these demands from their customers that are wanting to know more and more data. So how is it that technology can help us to get there, to be able to share that data with consumers?
Yeah, so the technology is really unlocking that world. And really what the technology is doing is being able to link all of these key values all the way through the supply chain and deliver it at item level. And that's where Kwik Lok comes in. I think that's where we're taking this durable product that's been on the market for decades and bringing in the technology that TrustWell offers, along with the standardization around Sunrise 27 from GS1, and also layering on top of that the food safety initiatives of the FSMA 204. It really delivers all of the compliance as well as a unique consumer experience that we just haven't seen before. So that technology is what's unlocking it. It's linking all of the pieces of the chain together and then delivering it all down on that little label now.
Chris, you mentioned, two really important factors to this, which is FSMA 204 and Sunrise 2027. Maybe talk a little bit about how those trends and those regulations are moving towards compliance and how that affects the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'm going to start with Sunrise 27 because it's so uniquely linked to what we're discussing here between TrustWell and with Kwik Lok to start. So Sunrise 27 is the next evolution in the UPC tag that we know today. So that barcode that you see on virtually every item around the world and when you're purchasing it, that's going to become a 2D or a QR looking code that allows us to carry so much more data than it ever has before. So by being able to have a code that can tie into all these numerous data points and pull them all together through a system like TrustWell's, we're able to deliver both user experience and compliance. And the compliance piece of this is the FSMA 204. So the FSMA 204 is a discussion around better traceability for high-risk foods, or we like to call the FTL list, or the food traceability list. So not everything falls under that list today, but it is a lot of the high-risk items that we want to make sure that we trace and make sure we keep people safe if there's ever a recall. So the way I look at it right now is the Sunrise is the next step in delivering that traceability messaging and that data. And FSMA is really the catalyst that's going to force us forward to do that, because to achieve FSMA, we needed a new tool. And that new tool is the GS1 standard, that new 2D barcode.
Yeah, no, that helps bring those two things together. And so, we talked a little about technology, maybe walk the audience through the collaboration that we at TrustWell are doing with Kwik Lok and kind of how that's bringing a lot of these pieces together with traceability, transparency, and consumer demand.
Absolutely. So like many of your customers know, when they buy into the TrustWell software, their entire supply chain gets access to that. Where we uniquely fall in the Kwik Lok side is that we're right at the point of pack. So right at the very front end of your supply chain, whether that's at the field or that's at your first packing house, we're providing solutions today to not only close bags, but deliver labeling solutions as well. What's unique about our labeling solutions is that they're delivering in situ printing, which means that we can take the lot level data required from FSMA and deliver that down to item level. And that's a really key thing that I like to always highlight for customers, is that you're already needing to become compliant as it is with the FSMA already. If you're going to do all of this work, bringing it down to item level delivers a much more important message to your customers down the line. It's that we value your safety all the way down to item level. Now, what makes this really unique about how we're working together is that little label now, anytime there is a KDE or a CT, and again, for people who don't know, that is a critical tracking event or a specific data element or key data element, if that's ever associated to the lot level, because we're delivering that lot level to item level, that item now has that information. So one of the things that I think is really unique is that with the TrustWell system, all of these points throughout the chain now are getting tied to that lot level. With the Kwik Lok label now, you're taking all of the data that TrustWell has been aggregating and bringing in and delivered now to the label, which means that when we get to the POS or we get to the aisle, a customer can scan it. They can learn about the product as well as they can learn about the traceability journey that it's been on already. And I think for the collaboration that our two organizations have worked on, that's really the key piece of this, is that we're taking all of this wonderfully fragmented world that we live in, and we're bringing it into this one, as we like to say, a single source of truth.
Yeah, and I think what was so impressive, when we started working together was I hear from a lot of people, that I talk to on this podcast and just kind of, in the industry overall, that, FSMA 204 it originally was kind of seen as it's this compliance, you got to comply with the FDA, and not that that's not a factor, but as we start to bring together two sides of it and we look at, okay, but the consumers also want to know this information. As you said, Chris, it's bringing together that compliance side, but then also having the benefit of, impacting your business in a really positive way and having that touch point with your customer. And then just knowing, I think for all of us that buy food, going there and really being able to like see a bag of limes or, whatever and be like, okay, I know where this came from. It just kind of connects, I think, that food supply chain from the beginning to the consumer. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, how do you think that that's kind of affect the future of food?
Well, Lydia, I think you bring up a really good topic here, and I think what it is that we're talking about the fact that a lot of this is, as I said earlier, catalyzed by a regulatory piece. But where the really big win here is, and where I think for a lot of retailers, specifically in the grocery market, are going to see huge wins, is that we have now, as you've said before, unlocked a new touch point. We are now not only interacting with a brand at the aisle, we're interacting with the brand potentially at home now too. So whether we are helping them guide them through the store to find the remaining pieces of a recipe to increase cart size on the store floor, or at home, letting the customer know that, hey, this item might go bad soon. You might want to use this for tonight's meal. It not only delivers a better trust experience for the customer, but it helps them take the steps in their own home to reduce food waste, to learn more about the brands that they trust, and to go out and explore more. I think what a lot of people find so unique about food is that it is like the ultimate unifier when you really think about it. To be able to explore food in a new way right from home, just because you're interacting with a label. Now, this might be a little bit aspirational, but that's really what we're talking about. We're being able to deliver a marketing message layered on top of food safety. And I think that right now is where we see one of the biggest potentials here, is that we can unlock that unique user experience when the customer wants to interact with it. And the nice thing is, now that it's being all tracked within the TrustWell platform, all of those insights become valuable as well.
Yeah, and it sort of takes us from the, I don't know, I feel like it can get myopic sometimes of, internal view or KPI or compliance and that sort of thing. And it kind of moves us outward to, the full industry and then the needs of the customer. So, I mean, that's, I think, just a really exciting part of this partnership. So, as we think about, as companies start to think about, yes, I'm interested in this type of innovation for my company. I think this comes up a lot with technology where the costs feel prohibitive. In your experience, in your background, like what advice would you give food companies today that are starting to say, hey, I really want to connect these dots. I want to bring the transparency in and I want to invest in technology, but at the same time, trying to prove that ROI internally.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think for people in the produce industry who we work with today, I would say that luckily for them, the lift isn't huge. It's determining which software package really delivers the value that you need, and then making sure that you have the key pieces of hardware in the field. Now, if you're working with Kwik Lok today, I'm very happy to say that there's a very good chance that you're ready to go today. We're already delivering printing solutions to you already. We already have a number of pieces of equipment in the field that are quite literally GS1 compliant today. So it's one of these things, it's just connecting the dots. So I think the best advice that I can provide is that now's the time to start trialing these things and understanding how they work with each other, and look to companies like ourselves, look to the partners that you've worked out with for decades and say, hey, who would you recommend we work with? And that's part of the reason why I'm so excited about this TrustWell partnership, is that we have found a like-minded organization that we can work with, that we can turn our customers towards and say, hey, we know who you should talk to. We're comfortable with them because we see their track record. We worked with them. We know the expertise they can deliver. And we understand that the trust that we're dealing in is the trust that they're dealing then down the line to their customers. So for us, I think that's the biggest piece of advice, is that let your current supply chain be your, helper in this whole thing. Let them be able to drive you to the right solution.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing about this that I think is, related to kind of industry trends is that this allows different parts of the business, whether it's sales or marketing, or food safety or technology, to kind of come together. And something that's been a common theme as we talk about implementation for FSMA 204 or technology or whatever it may be, you really need those internal stakeholders. For those that are really thinking about, again, kind of implementing something like this, how do you bring together those different folks? And I'm thinking specifically about sales and marketing on this particular issue, because it's like, the benefits that are there. So bringing together sales and marketing, food safety, the chief technology officer, what advice would you have for those types of conversations?
Yeah, I would say do not make this a one-dimensional team. Okay. I think, like you were saying before, I think a lot of people look at this as a compliance thing. They segment this as saying, this is FSMA, this is food safety. We're going to bring a food safety team in. It'll be fine. No, make this an interdisciplinary team because, again, if we're talking about bringing multiple departments together, it means that we can leverage all those departments together. So, again, when we're talking about food safety, let your food safety guys make sure that they are keeping us all compliant, but make sure that your marketing teams, your sales teams are all aware of what's happening so that they can share that message with your clients. So they understand the steps that you're taking to be the trustworthy brand that they expect you to be. Again, I always say to people, trust but verify. Well, guess what? Now we have a tool to verify that.
Yeah, and I know you have some really interesting use cases from Kwik Lok where having that additional touch point from a marketing perspective has improved KPIs. Can you share maybe some examples of being able to take that home and where you're seeing the consumers really engage?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had some pretty progressive brands over the years come to us and say, hey, we want to try these new marketing tactics. We want to be able to deliver a new digital experience. And I think that's where our understanding of the power of a tool like this kind of came to be. And one of those experiences really proved to us that we could see as high as a 15% sales lift. And when we talk about sales lifts from traditional promotional marketing, that's huge. That's 2 to 3 times what they ever expect. And for us, that to us kind of, I guess, brought into being the idea that we really do have an ability to deliver a unique value proposition beyond just food safety. We can deliver this unique experience that people are really going to interact with because we have done it and we continue to see it.
I think it's really great. And being at the forefront of innovation, I would say Kwik Lok really is. What do you see as kind of some future trends or some new things coming up in the industry that you're really excited for?
I think some of the things I'm really excited for are all of the additional technologies that we're going to layer into this over time. Again, I think everybody, whenever we're talking about sales and marketing, we're always talking about removing friction. So even as silly as it sounds that scanning a QR code is friction, in time with the advent of things like RFID or other NFC technologies, we're going to have that even more seamless integrated adventure throughout the store. We've been seeing different partners come to us and show us these new wonderful AI experiences where they can actually help you learn more about the product within real time. For us, when it comes to going around the store and learning more about a brand, I think one of the ones that is the most exciting to me is the augmented reality. AR and layering that into the in-store experience, allowing it to help guide you throughout a store, learn about different products, and start pairing things for your cart itself. I think to me, that's a very unique thing that I think a lot of people are going to find a lot of value in. Not everybody is a culinary savant, but you can be when you know where to go in the store and you can pull things in and then be shared the right recipes and the correct pairings. I mean, there's nothing more, I guess, enjoyable than being able to deliver a home meal to your family that not only tastes great, but you can be proud of. And when it comes down to it, a tool like this is a piece of that puzzle. And I think that would be something to me that I think is really exciting is that we're going to unlock a lot of information. We're going to unlock a lot of new ways to learn, and we're going to unlock a lot more trust for customers with brands.
Awesome stuff. Just a couple of closing questions for you. Obviously you've had a long career within this industry. What do you find is really the most rewarding aspect of working within the food industry and working with these types of customers and this type of innovation that we've talked about?
Again, I'm going to trace it back to food being the ultimate unifier. There is nothing more important, I think, than sitting down on a weeknight with your family, sharing stories and sharing a meal. Knowing that food and that meal that you're putting in front of your family is safe, I think that is really, really important. And I think really being able to be part of that journey to help deliver food safety to people, as well as deliver maybe a better dining experience, I think that's pretty great because when at the end of the day, that's really what we want to do. We want to be able to deliver connection and deliver safety and trust.
And then this last question is, if there's something that you would change within the food industry today, or something that you'd like to see in the future, what would that be?
I think as much as everybody will probably groan just because it is, it's a growing pain, I would love to see that initiatives like FSMA and 2D labeling and the delivery of food safety requirements expands and covers as many items that we can deem as being at high risk. So that way we can deliver safe food and reduce food waste over time. I think to me, that is a real key to this because again, we didn't really touch on it very much in the beginning here, that when we're talking about delivering food safety, that is also delivering food security. We're reducing food waste. We know when something was packed. We know when it's going to go bad. We can be more deliberate in the way we fulfill our inventory structures. And I think that would be really unique as well.
Chris, I really appreciate this. I think that this is a really exciting partnership. I wanted to give you the opportunity to share a couple of upcoming events. I know we have some joint events coming up, and we just recently wrapped up our Reconnect, which you and I had an awesome conversation with Todd Delinsky. So definitely gonna share with this audience to please look that up and on our website. But what else is going on with Kwik Lok that people should be watching out for?
Yeah, so we're really excited. Coming up in October here is the IFPA. We're going to actually be presenting our in-situ printing solutions alongside with the TrustWell platform. We'll be able to show you both right in the booth. We'll be able to print you a label just as you would on your packing floor. And then followed by that in January, we're going to have the Potato Expo as well. Again, they're not hit by the FTL list today, but the amount of interest that we're getting from brands and from packers around the food world is growing. So please come find us at the IFPA or find us at the Potato Packer. And again, we'll keep you abreast of anything else that's coming up here in the near future as well.
Well, thanks again, Chris. Really happy to have you on the show.
Thank you, Lydia. I appreciate you guys having us. Again, we're looking forward to many more years of a lot of fun partnership here.
Yes, absolutely. And thanks again to our audience for listening. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Thank you for joining us for another bite-sized nugget of food tech talk, supply chain insights from farm to fork. To learn more about TrustWell and its technology platform that connects product formulation, nutrition analysis, and compliant labeling with traceability, recall readiness, and supply chain transparency, please visit www.trustwell.com. Thanks for listening.